And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in business with a showdown between the vampire counts, who shall be led by Isabella von Karstein. And today, my friends, we face off against the dreaded vampire coast, who shall be led by King of the Dead, coming in hot with Luther Harkin, certainly a very scary dude. Now, as far as my build goes, we are going to be going with the double goose up in the sky, so most of the time, vampire count players do go very wide in this matchup. Essentially, you want to have enough units to swarm a gun line and really just shut down the handgunners and the bombers and all those different tools. But lately, I have been facing a lot of boxes. I found that the vampire coast will sit there with some deckhand halberds. They'll have like the gallows giant, maybe like a giant Promethean. And I was going very wide. I was using like Graveguard and Crypt Ghouls and things like that. But I found that in my builds, even though I did bring the double Banshee, I really was having heavy problems dealing with the big monsters. So just to make sure that didn't happen, I brought double Terror Goose. So one goose here, two goose here, and we do also have a couple of Fellbats as well. Fellbats are just there for disruption, to chase deck droppers, and also to go after handguns and cannons and artillery crews and things like that. Now, I still try to go kind of wide. It's mostly going to be zombies. We do have two Graveguard in the middle. Hopefully they'll be able to kind of chew through some of the frontline troops, but even though, they do have 90 armor, the Vampire Coast Bombers are just so damn efficient at shutting down your infantry. So got to be careful here, man. So Lady Karstein, I actually do like her in this matchup. I feel like with the Blood Chalice, which let's go ahead and take a look, she can heal herself. She can heal the Banshees for over 2,000 HP, which is pretty damn insane. It's basically like an overcasted regrowth. So you can use this on your Banshees, also use it on herself. And when you do that, it allows you to cast Invocation on other big targets. And considering I have two Gooses, which are 100% going to be getting hunted here by the Vampire Coast, I wanted to make sure I had my invocations for these characters. So I think she's pretty good here for sure. Maybe putting her up on her flying steed would be a little bit safer, but I think I had some financial constraints as to why I didn't do that. Over here on the outside, we got double Black Knight. Black Knights are amazing in this matchup. Pretty good armor. They're shielded against gunfire, and on top of that, they do have a bonus versus infantry. So they make an exceptional backline diving tool, going after handguns, after bombers, all those sorts of units. So see how these bad boys do, man. Two of them. And that is it. And now for King's Army. I was expecting a bit of a box with Gallows Giant and Crab, but he actually went with a gun line, which might be a little bit tough for me here. Because, in investing in such elite units, it really makes my army quite narrow, which narrow armies typically really do suffer against gun lines. So he does have the double handgun mob here. He's got bombers in the front line. He also has a Vampire Caster, and of course the Vampire Fleet Captain for the Spiteful Shot. So he can imbue magic damage on Luther Harkin, which means he can go after my Banshees there and really cause me some serious problems. But aside from that, no monsters really. It's just a zombie army with Luther Harkin and a single cannon in the back just to kind of force me in. And if I had like Blood Knights or something like that, the cannon would be a very nice inclusion. For the most part, Gooses can usually juke cannons, but, my Black Knights over here on the far side of the battlefield probably will be taking quite a righteous hammering from those pieces. Nonetheless, we're flying in here. You can see I'm going to be shooting a breath attack here at your boy Luther Harkin, and we actually do get some decent damage right there, and he is going to be forced to fall back a little bit. And from there, I shall continue to try and surround his army. So you can see the Black Knights here on the far side looking to get in. I really wanted to make sure I could maybe run in and get on the handgunners, but for the most part, King of the Dead does have a really good box. He's got halberds here, halberds here. These are actually handguns. So yeah, the classic Anticity defense. Defend your back line here with handguns. It usually works pretty well. So just going to be moving in. These Sternsmen and my zombies will start taking some fire here in a moment. If bombers are killing, regular zombies, I suppose that's not the worst thing in the world. And I just wanted to kind of see if he was paying attention. So I did prod in here with the Black Knights, but King did a pretty good job getting his handguns in the proper angle to make sure he could shoot at my approaching cavalry. So now that my main army is coming in, I decided to send in the Fellbats, which I don't know if it was too early, but, at least we're going to be shutting these guys down. You can see the Fellbats are jumping onto the gun units, and it will take them quite some time. So in doing this, it also does force his halberds back, which may open up access for my Black Knights to attack these guys or go after the bombers. So it's kind of a dual-pronged approach here. Also, Banshees are really good for this. So if you are facing Vampire Coast Bombers, you send in the Banshees first and let your opponent throw bombs at them while you're near their infantry, and you can sometimes get some splash damage and some other goodies. So very scary moment here. Luther Harkin coming in with Spiteful Shot, which does give him magic damage on every front. He gets some good work on my Banshee, but he sees my two Gooses coming. So the Gooses coming in are going to be countercharging Luther here and maybe getting some damage. We'll certainly see. Black Knights, however, do slam into the deckhand mobs in the flanks, just trying to wear down his front line wherever I can. Black Knight's doing the same thing on the other side, but not going super well. He does have halberds there and also guns, and now you can see my Graveguard are being afflicted by the bombers. A lot of damage coming in, man. He does also summon a zombie fire gunnery mob, which will put some heavy firepower here onto my Goose, I would imagine. Now, we do have a decent gooning opportunity. His Vampire Fleet Captain is a little bit kind of isolated here, so my two Banshees probably will drift over there, but in the meantime, my Gooses really just trying to go after Luther, but he was able to get away and continues to hunt down my Banshee up on the high ground using Hornswoggle. So the Gooses are on the hunt, man. But we have a good opportunity here. We have a lot of really good mass. So the Black Knights and the Banshee do actually have Luther Harkin a little bit trapped up here. So I'm going to be using the Black Knights and my Gooses to try and keep up with him and stagger him. And if we can surround him here, it's honestly pretty possible. Like if he can't take off and go up into the sky, his movement speed on the ground will be slower than the Gooses. And you can see we are able to get a pretty good surround here. So giving the Vampire Coast a taste of its own medicine, we are going to be hunting down Luther here, and hopefully he will be trapped by these Black Knights and the double Goose. Now back on the battlefield, using the Banshees to hunt down the Vampire Fleet Captain, we do use the Master of Beguilement from Isabella von Karstein, who hasn't taken too much damage, mainly just been summoning zombies on top of the bombers in the secondary line. But, you know, the big problem for me is, like, all his handgunners and bombers are more or less online here. So I know I'm kind of behind in this game a little bit. I feel like my initial strategy didn't work out, and the Gooses just aren't that great against a mass, handgun line. But I know that if I can get Luther Harkin, I will have a fighting chance here. So just committing all my resources, and I'm actually manually controlling my Black Knights and moving past him. So I'm not giving attack orders to Luther Harkin. I move past him, and then I attack him once I'm ahead of him to get a proper surround. It's something that you can do in like other RTS games like Warcraft 3, and of course, it does work pretty well in this game as well. So Luther Harkin getting a little bit low, 0 leadership, fully surrounded, invocation of the heck going down. The Lady Karstein and the Gooses, like I said, getting big damage. He's also poisoned, so he's down to 68 speed. Both Terrorgeists, of course, do poison damage. And once again, I get the Black Knights, and I try and give a move order past him to make sure he can't get away, which allows my units to take off up in the sky and his big lord here not to. So Luther Harkin's pretty much 100% dead at this point. There's no way he's getting away, disintegrating, and down goes the dreaded Luther Harkin. But this game, even though it looks good for me, is far from over. My Banshees are in good shape. I was pulling them back just to seal the deal on Luther, but I do need to get his characters now. So Vampire Counts are a faction that oftentimes do really rely on gooning. You need to go after characters. They have really good Lord sniping with their Terrorgeists and some of their magic. Of course, you can bring Lord of Death, but it's just kind of the nature of their style of play. So at this point, I know I need to shut down the cannon because it's going to give constant pressure to my powerful characters and units, but also I need to go after his Vampire Caster, who of course can summon more units. He can summon gunnery mobs, all sorts of scary stuff. You could also see, like, this occurred to me at this point in the game. I'm sort of out of, like, ground units. I have some zombies here, I have some Black Knights, but of course we are playing the game under tournament rules. So if I do, essentially lose all my units and I don't have anything fighting, I'm going to have to sit still with my Gooses amongst, deckhand mob halberds and, handguns and things like that. So at this point, I made a very conscious effort to partition my summons to make sure I had enough summons in the back pocket that I could use them throughout the battle to make sure I always had a unit on the ground, which of course is very important if you guys are looking to play in tournaments and whatnot. But if you're just playing ladder for fun, then don't worry about it. But in this case, it's something to consider. Terrorgeist here going after the vampire character, not able to get it. Lady Karstein just getting nuked with bombs, but she's got pretty good stats, 50, 65, 480. 480 weapons rank, definitely not bad, considering, she doesn't seem like much of a combat character, but she's getting in there, doing some good damage. But one of my Gooses is also being focused down. All of his handguns are pretty much pouring their fire here. So I have to shut down all of his zombies at this point. So here you can see the black spot is going to be getting attacked here by my double Banshees, and my Gooses are kind of stuck in combat right here. And I do have a zombie summon over here as well. So the zombie summon does give me the impunity and ability to pull back and charge and, be a little bit more maneuverable around the battlefield here. So I kind of figured this Goose might be going down. I drop an invocation on this guy and just trying my best to get that foot character, but something about Terror Gooses I found is that they're actually really bad at killing foot characters, whereas the Death Shriek Terror guys for the Vampire Coast seem to be a little bit more efficient, probably because they're more dependent on their bonus versus large, whereas I think the Vampire Coast Gooses have a little bit better stats overall. So Isabella von Karstein dropping a zombie summon on top of these guys, and you can see the other Goose has come back from its exodus. One last breath attack to rule them all, getting some decent damage there before the Goose does go down. And now you guys can see, despite the fact that I did get Luther very early in the game, like had he survived, man, I would be in big trouble, because right now I really am behind. So on the far side of the battlefield, the Banshees continue to grind, but a little bit trapped up amongst halberds here. I'm going to be heading on over to the black spot, and obviously his Vampire Caster, I think, is on death's bed. No, it's actually still pretty healthy, but he does use the Spiteful Shot to try and give magic damage to these zombies, essentially, so they could turn around and shoot my Banshees. But even in melee, they're not terrible. I mean, 20 melee attack. These are an ROR, and they kind of have like a melee variant on them. But they're getting some poke here on the Banshees. Nothing too bad, but at this point, Lady Karstein does have to fall back. Just too much gunpowder coming in. And I also did see another summon. So King used another zombie summon, an Overcasted Drowned Dead, which does summon the gunnery mob. So that's like a really scary thing, and I think it's honestly that in conjunction with bombers, I think is one of the strongest aspects of the entire roster, really. Being able to summon like a gun unit, just like close range, unbreakable, it's quite powerful for sure. So again, making a huge focus to send my zombies and force path them after the black spot here. So we're going in, we're trying to take these guys out, but they're taking forever to crumble. Obviously, they being undead aren't really going to be affected by any of those leadership shenanigans and whatnot. So we're trying our best here. Also, my Goose very low, 1500 HP, but the Goose is going to be coming over here. I knew I needed to get away from this position. You had the summon guns here, you had the handguns here, so going over here will allow us to isolate the black spot, continue to crumble them, and Lady Carstein does drop into their zombie summon, which then allows her to run away. The Blood Chalice of Bathorite, such a good healing ability. I mean, healing up White Kings and Banshees and herself is really, really good. I mean, if Vampire Counts had like some more really powerful heroes, that could be a pretty insane item for sure. Anyways, Lady Carstein getting in there, going after the black spot. Thankfully, one of his characters, both of his characters are chasing her, which Banshees are actually really good at killing foot characters. They have pretty consistent attack animations, and they can really get in there. So King does know this, and he's going to start retreating. And Banshees will have a little bit of trouble pushing through his units. And here you can see I'm trying to juke with my Terrorgeist while my zombies continue to fight over here. And my Banshees just got to, stay and fight the good fight. I think I have one summon left in the game. Bounce of Power has pulled back to like dead even. It's a really close game, though. The fact that he still has the black spot, some gun units over here is a little bit problematic, but they're all crumbling. Right here, you can see 28 zombies crumbling here. We got 30 crumbling right here, and Lady Carstein's on the hunt. So dropping another zombie summon as my other one does dissipate there. Will give me some more freedom, like I said. So just kind of tapering out my zombie summons, trying my best to draw this game out, and just let the Banshees grind. Because if they had to sit still, I don't know if they could outlast this entire army, especially with these two vampire characters. So I need to get a little bit more damage with my Goose here. I know I have some more breath attacks, so just trying my best to get the value where I can with that. Charging in here to the black spot. Here comes the Goose, and here comes Lady Carstein charging in on her horse. Going to be karate chopping one of the black spots as she does charge in there, without doing Vlad proud. But now here comes the characters. And Lady Carstein, as far as dueling one of these characters, she could probably beat one, but both probably not. But of course, she does have the support of the spooky Banshees. And finally, the black spot is crumbling. And though 10 HP per second isn't a lot, it is damage and progress, and it will slowly be getting rid of models there. So now we got the fight here. I don't think Master of Beguilement is off cooldown right here, but nonetheless, the Banshees are going to be coming in. They got their prison shanks out. They're going to be giving it to that Vampire Caster for sure, because that is the one that has access to healing. The Deep Caster isn't as big of a deal. Though it doesn't do magic damage, which is good against my Banshees, it's still not, the most, necessary thing in the world. And we do drop a zombie summon because this is my last summon. I didn't use very many in the early game. I think I used like one. So I was really saving those for the fourth quarter here. So now we got a true blob fight, which is actually really good for me. Banshees will be happy. I think all of his gun units more or less have been crumbled down. The black spot here is still going, but the Terrorgeist should be able to fall back and get a breath attack, which probably will end the game. So pulling back here with the Goose, it's earned 2 chevrons this game. This bad boy has done some really solid work. And as far as like a grinding fight, the Banshees plus Isabella should be able to easily defeat these characters. So here comes a big breath attack in the back. The final duel to decide the fate of Halloween. And here comes the Goose up in the sky. Breath attack of the gods. Brutal damage. KOs that Vampire Fleet Captain. And with that, you can see the bounce of power is pretty catastrophic here for the Vampire Coast. The Fleet Captain does fall flat on his face with his hook hand. And the rest of the Vampire Coast army is going to be disintegrating and crumbling, as the amount of units I have left are just too powerful. So well played to King, man. It was a tough game, and did illustrate some of the weaknesses of my build. I think that maybe just one Goose is necessary. Yeah, because like the gun line is pretty good. Like the only reason King lost that game, more or less, is because he lost Luther Harkin. Like had he kept Luther Harkin alive, I think I would have 100% just lost that game. It would have been a tough one. Now, if he had gone for a box, like a Vampire Coast box with Gallows Giant and Spiteful Shot, which is very meta, it's what we saw Anticity do in the faction war against the Vampire Counts to great success. I think my build would have won. I think the double Gooses would have just wrecked the big monsters, and the breath attacks and the blob would have been devastating. But if they do go gunline, so I don't like to play build roulette, as it's called, where one build counters one. I like to have a well-balanced build that can beat both playstyles, which isn't always possible, but I think I have an idea. So let's go ahead and jump over here. Yes, good, Anakin, good. Go to the Vampire Counts. I've really been enjoying Vampire Counts. I actually really like them as a faction. Their campaign is really fun also. So Lady Carstein, is she... I mean, Vlad is good there, but I think getting her on her Hellsteed is probably the way to go. So we get her on the Hellsteed, we get the Blood Chalice, we get the double Banshee, which I think is good. But, Scab Scraith might be equally good, but Banshees are just so much harder to kill. And maybe we just cut down the infantry quality. So we get 1 Goose up in the sky. We get 2 Fellbats. And then we get 3 Black Knights for swarming. I think that's always pretty good. Black Coach is also something that could penetrate. But you need to have ample assets to punish a gun line as well. The problem with Crypt Ghouls is they just tend to die to bombers. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like bombers are really the issue in this matchup for so many factions. So we're not at our single entity cap yet. I could go skeletons. Zombies obviously don't do too much. It's going to be a struggle to break them. You go base skeletons. So yeah, I still like having the Sternsmen. They're just such a good unit. And I mean, they got 100 kills, I guess, but I don't know. We need to kind of chew through that line a little bit. I mean, I guess you could bring like one crypt school unit, like stock it around and just try and like find a place where the bombers, like go in the back line where the bombers, once the main fighting starts, right, they jump and start chewing on like some halberds or something. So triple Black Knight is good. I think we have enough to deal with monsters. Double Banshee, Terrorgeist, Isabella. Like Luther Harkin would lose to a Terrorgeist and Lady Carsign in the sky. So you can win the aerial engagement. If they go deck droppers, you can shut them down with Fellbats. Black Knights, I mean, let's go 2 for now and just see if we can fine tune this. I don't know, but we need to win the infantry fight in some way. Mortis Engine, no way. Like the handguns would just pound them in the cannons. A Mortis Engine, I guess, would be okay against like a blob, but even still, I don't think it's that good against like other undead factions. Crypt Horrors, no, you don't really need them against Vampire Coast. You already have enough anti-armor with the Banshees and the Goose and things like that. I think that's enough. Yeah, Graveguard. I mean, going wider with Graveguard, how efficient would that be? I guess that could grind down their lines a little bit better. Skeletons. How do we beat a box? I guess box, it just comes down to monster gooning. Black Coach, because I hate to go Vampire Counts and not have another single entity. So Black Coach could actually be good. It's really low center of gravity, and the thing could like, yeah, it could cause some problems. Okay, I think I actually like this build so far. You go with another Black Knight just in case, and then we can go with just go with the skeleton line. And then maybe go with like 4 zombies. See, that army's very wide. Like you have plenty of backline pressure, but you also have good anti-monster. I think something like this could be pretty good. But anyways, give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time, you guys stay safe. And we'll be back with more content soon. Take care, my friends.